not the job for our JT. This is not the job to go on Facebook asking for answers. This is a job where you come prepared to fight and fight and fight for Mayaro, as I will do. Let me repeat tonight, wherever you are in Mayaro, and wherever you are in Trinidad and Tobago, everywhere I've walked, everywhere I've gone, people have been waiting outside their homes with their family to meet Clarence Rambharat. Not because I'm a superstar, not because I am a star, because this community of Rio Claro, Beach, Mayaro, Ecclesville, Poole, Fun Rose, everybody are proud of the son that they have produced. I have said to everybody across this constituency, your vote is your secret. Kamla can get into all aspects of your business, but cannot get into the voting booth. When you go to the polls, I've said to them, you know I am the best man for the job. You know you have said that to me. And your vote is your secret. Vote for me and do the right thing. And I tell you why. As I said in Mayaro, I offer you 10 reasons why Clarence Rambharat is better for Mayaro. I have a sound academic background that is well known in this region. I have the leadership experience. I have state sector experience. I know what is the Shagaramas Development Authority. I can run the Shagaramas Development Authority. I know because I have public sector experience. The fourth reason, public sector experience. I know how this public service works. I know how to write a cabinet note, so I know as minister or member of parliament whether it's been done right or wrong for me. Number 5, and the most important thing, I have governance expertise. I've lectured around the world. My services in governance have been in demand across this world. And I know how to run things. Number 6, I have a national profile. When the #1 morning show, Daily Knock and Tony Lee's show, called for me to talk about Mayaro, I left at 5 a.m. and reached that studio in Port of Spain to fly the Mayaro flag and do you proud. Rushton Paré stayed at home because his throat was hurting him. Number 7, I have legislative experience. I've talked about my experience in Trinidad. I've talked about my experience in Canada, being part of Canada's first model parliament. I've talked about my specialized training for public office. Number 8, I know parliamentary procedure. I have been sufficiently involved in lawmaking, in the analysis of bills, writing on bills, advising on bills, assisting members of parliament with their speeches, that I know about parliament. I surely know more than Rushton does. Undisputed, I have the debating skills that will help Mayaro. Rushton Paré refuses to debate with me. He was made an offer just like I was. And in 1 minute I accepted the offer. He said, I have to discuss it with my team. Rushton Paré is not his own man. He is a front for Kamla Prasad Bisesa and other people who you know well in this constituency. Rushton Paré is a front man, and that is why he's not walking and meeting you, because he knows the real MP is hiding somewhere in some business place in Rio Claro. And the last thing I say to you, Mayaro, the last thing I say on that 10 reasons, and perhaps the most important thing I've said, there's two things you must know about me. I am proud of my grey hair. I don't dye my hair. I am happy with it. The second thing, you saw me land in Mayaro, a slim, fit person. You fed me and fattened me up. And when I said I will walk Mayaro and make myself fit for office, I walked Mayaro. There is no surgery going on here. This is the real thing. And I am in perfect health to represent you. Tonight, I close on this point. Mayaro, we are united. Across this constituency, you have said to me, you want change. My Rio Claro brought me into this world. Rio Claro has a chance to make history. You, Rio Claro, you have the opportunity to send me to Parliament. It is in your hands. Guayari Road, Libertyville, Enid Village, Navet, Days Road, San Pedro, Ecclesville, it is in your hands. And I have confidence in you. As I walk, I have grown stronger and stronger and fitter and fitter. I believe in you. I know on September 7th, you will do the right thing for the right person for Mayaro. And on that night of September 7th, when your son comes marching, I will be in first place. That's the position I've been in all my life. And we shall sing in Rio Claro, Mayaro, Bish, Lasavan. That is the PNM. That is the PNM. And we shall prevail.
He is today the chairman of our great party. He is one of the most visionary men whom I have had the privilege to work with. He is as solid as a rock. He's always smiling. He was a former Minister of Works and Transport, and we all know that he has had years of experience in the energy sector. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to welcome to the microphone our party's chairman, Mr. Franklin Tam.
Rio Claro. It is said that the Lord works in mysterious ways, his wonders to perform. After fighting 3 brutal battles with Winston, Gypsy Peters, ladies and gentlemen, I never thought I would have lived to see this day, to see Gypsy in a red shirt among the PNM family. Mr. Peters, welcome to a great political organization. Last Friday, ladies and gentlemen, we created a tsunami in Mayaro and crippled the UNC there. Tonight, we have come to finish the work. And from the way things is looking here in Rio Claro, I think we have accomplished that. So now with this massive tsunami hitting the entire constituency of Mayaro, are you ready to have Clarence Rambharat as your next member of parliament? And of course, are you ready to see Dr. Christopher Rowley as our 7th Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago? Political leader of the PNM, leader of the opposition, an ex-member and next Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, the Honorable Dr. Rowley, deputy political leaders, other officers of the movement. I specially recognize on the head table Councillor Andy Maraj, the Councillor for Kokal Mafikin, Mr. Neil Mohammed, the next Member of Parliament for Point of Pierre, Mr. Avinash Singh, the next Member of Parliament for Keroni Central, and of course, our own, yours and mine, my new MP for Mayaro, Mr. Clarence Rambharat. Party supporters, party well-wishers, members of the media, members of the protective services, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, PNM family all. The last time a national platform came to Rio Claro was in 2013 during the local government election. At that time, in the Mayaro Rio Claro Regional Corporation, the score was UNC 6, PNM 0. By the end of that election, it turned out to be UNC 4, PNM 2. But what was most significant in that election, ladies and gentlemen, in the 4 seats we lost in Rio Claro and its environs, the PNM has performed better than in any other time in the history of this corporation. That is when we started to see that something strange was happening in Rio Claro. Tonight I want to personally acknowledge the effort of Butch Bahadur, who came within 83 votes of winning Rio Claro South. And to thank and congratulate all the other 4 candidates, Sanka Mahaber Singh, Rahamoti Atali, and Mona Lisa Ali Opindish. They have turned the tide, so that now you have Clarence Rambharat, and with that wave that is following Clarence, we will win the Mayaro seat for the first time in the history of Trinidad and Tobago. Let's look at what is on offer for us, ladies and gentlemen. We offer to you Clarence Rambharat. Clarence has been on the ground now for just over 1 year, as he's told you. He was the first candidate selected by the screening committee of the People's National Movement. He has walked this entire constituency. He has visited every single household, a lot of them more than once. He has developed a plan called More for Mayaro. He just showed it to you. Ladies and gentlemen, feel proud of this gentleman. More for Mayaro is the most detailed constituency plan that has been ever produced in the history of the People's National Movement. It covers every aspect of life in Mayaro, from fishing to forestry to agriculture to hunting to youth development, you name it, and it is in the plan. Additionally, professionally, he's a lawyer, he's a lecturer, he's a newspaper columnist. He lectures on governance issues. He has experience both in the public and in the private sector. And most importantly, he's a leading expert in agriculture and agricultural policy formulation. Ladies and gentlemen, in Rio Claro here tonight, and all over Trinidad, in my many years in politics, I have never seen anybody who has prepared himself so adequately to hold the position of Member of Parliament. And I have no doubt in my mind that he will accomplish his goal and become the next Member of Parliament for Mayaro. I juxtapose that to what the UNC has put up for offer. As Clarence said, it's chalk and cheese. Rushton Parry, I exposed him in Mayaro last week Friday. He doesn't have the decency to resign from the PNM and give back his party card. I show his party card is next to his credit card, still in his wallet. But as I told him in Mayaro, he will be expelled from the People's National Movement at our first General Council meeting after the election. Mr. Rushton Parry hasn't had a serious conversation with you, the people of Mayaro, with you, the people of Rio Claro, with you, the people of Ecclesville and Beach. He has not had a serious conversation. All he is doing every day is making noise and trying to bust your ear. Rushton Parry, left, right and center. He is not engaging you in serious conversation. I call on all members of the Mayaro constituency to reject outright that disrespect and disregard shown to you. The UNC, especially in the Rio Claro Beach area, feel that they own your votes. I want you to unlock those shackles on September the 7th and show that you will vote for the People's National Movement and install Clarence Rambharat as your next Member of Parliament. So ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Rushton Parry, busting your ass bed. Kamla Prasad in your face every day. Kamla has a plan. She in your face. She in your eardrum, she in your eye. You watch the TV, she appears. But what is this plan? The plan is only based on slogans and buzzwords. Plenty for 20. 20 pledges for 2020. Clarence give you the explanation for that in Playway. But secondly, using jargon and buzzwords, they have come up with this plan. They will develop the green economy. They will develop the blue economy. They will develop the silver economy. And when all that comes together, it will produce the golden economy. What the hell does that mean? If you go to any Boja paint shop in Trinidad and Tobago, you can never mix green, blue and silver and it will give you gold. And here's what they're talking about, the green economy. Just catchphrases for environmental sustainability. But it is only words, they have no concrete plans for that. You know what's their plan for the green economy? Their plan for the green economy is to give SIS 30 acres of land in the Caroni swamp for him to backfill it. That is their green economy. Their green economy is allowing illegal quarrying in Valencia and Motura for years, destroying the environment. Their idea of the green economy is giving away prime green space in the Chaguaramas Peninsula to their friends and their financiers, and in some cases their family. Our plan for the green economy, ladies and gentlemen, is well documented in this PNM Manifesto under the environment and under energy with the use of renewable energy resources. And now they come to the blue economy. All the blue economy means is that they're using the resources of the sea for coastal village to help develop your community. Look, Mr. Terry Rondon is there. The most depressed communities in Trinidad and Tobago are rural fishing villages. From Cedros to Icacos, from Toco to Matlot, from Moruga to Guayguayari, to Mayaro and to Manzanilla, to Las Cuevas, and even down at Otahiti in southwest Trinidad. They are the most depressed communities. Nothing is being done for tourism in these coastal villages. And they are fostering now a new catchphrase called the blue economy. And then the silver economy now. The silver economy, ladies and gentlemen, is how you deal with an aging population. And they have said nothing of how they will do it. We have a plan here for the aged. We have a plan here where we will review the NIS and the old age pension cap. We have a plan here which is called, we will design and introduce a retirees benefit plan called based after the Panama Pensionado program. Specific details as how you provide assistance to retired workers. Dr. Rowley outlined a plan for education some weeks ago, where he indicated that the focus of this PNM administration would be on primary education. And he said that we will recruit all the retired, or most of the retired primary school teachers of experience and former principal to come and help implement that program in the primary schools. So ladies and gentlemen, their green, their blue, and their silver could never make gold. We would have to use all those catchphrases. We have produced here a very robust and well thought out document that we will be governing from on the first day of our term in office when we take over on the 8th of September. And now, I want to delve into the meat of my presentation, which is rural development. As I said in Moruga last night, everybody in this country cries discrimination on both sides of the divide. They say they discriminate against you on race, they discriminate against you on political affiliation, on religion, on gender. I do not know that. Everybody have their own personal experience, so I can't argue anybody with that. But what I do know, if you take a clinical and objective analysis of what has happened in Trinidad over the last several decades, if there is only one form of discrimination in Trinidad and Tobago, it is rural discrimination. The neglect of rural communities. And it has happened throughout our post-independence history. It has absolutely nothing to do with politics or race. From Toco to Matlot, African community, supporters of the PNM, underdeveloped. Moruga on the south coast, largely African community, underdeveloped. But you go down to Cedros and Icacos, East Indian communities, supporters of the UNC, still underdeveloped. You go to Bish, in the middle of Trinidad and Tobago, rural underdevelopment, traditionally supporters of the UNC, and I hope this time around, Bish will be supporting the People's National Movement and our candidate, Mr. Clarence Rambharat. And the reason I want to share with you here tonight is that rural neglect and rural underdevelopment is strongly rooted in economic theory. Because the forces, drivers, and theory that foster economic development have inbuilt negatives on rural communities. Because these models are based on the concepts of market size and on the concept of rate of return. And when you put these types of analysis to bring development to rural areas, it always gives you the result that it will not pay. So for rural development to take place, my brothers and sisters, it must be the result of direct government policy intervention. I want to repeat that. Rural development can only take place with direct government policy intervention. The classic example of that is Couva. During the 1970s, Couva was a small cane farming town based on the sugar industry. Nothing much was happening in Couva. Then, because of our PNM policy decision to put industrialization on the Gulf of Paria and build the Point Lisas industrial estate, that has transformed Couva forever. Couva and Chaguanas now is the fastest growing areas of Trinidad and Tobago in terms of commerce. And it will continue to grow because we have planted the seed of economic development by government policy. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to say here tonight that this is the first PNM administration that has made a direct intervention on the policies of rural development. And ladies and gentlemen, this direct policy intervention by the PNM on rural development is based on a tripod. A tripod is a structure that has 3 legs. The first part of that tripod is the formation of the Ministry of Rural Development. The second leg of that tripod will be based on local government reform. And the third leg of that tripod will be based on our renewed focus on agriculture. And I am proud to say that the constituency of Mayaro should feel extremely proud that Mr. Clarence Rambharat will be the PNM's Minister of Agriculture in the next term. Ladies and gentlemen, if you take the eastern third of Trinidad, Trinidad is 1,800 and things so it's about for 400 or 500 square miles. The eastern third of Trinidad comprises a mere 4 constituencies. Toko Sandy Grande, Kumoto Manzalina, Mayaro, and Moruga Tibla. It is in these 4 constituencies that we in the PNM, under the leadership of Dr. Keith Rowley, looking at these rural communities in these 4 constituencies, conceptualize the idea of a Ministry of Rural Development. Because for meaningful rural development to take place, 2 things has to happen. So we are doing this by VAPS. We are studying it from a scientific and an economic planning perspective. 2 things have to happen for meaningful rural development to take place. 1 is the creation of a sustainable economic base in the respective communities. And 2, there must be connectivity. Because without connectivity and access, you do not stand a chance for development. And that has been the driver behind our policy prescriptions for these areas. So the more you look at this PNM manifesto, the more you study it, you see the depth of thought that went in it. It's like a Shakespeare play. Anytime they give the teacher Shakespeare in Form 1, they tell you the simple things. And you go to Form 6 and they teach you the same Shakespeare play, and you delve deeper and you see many, many more things. This is the PNM Manifesto, a play written by William Shakespeare. So connectivity and an economic base is what we have created. For Togo, Sandy Grande, the economic base is the port and the ferry service to Tobago. The connectivity is provided by the new first-class arterial road from Valencia to Togo. For Moruga, we told the people of Moruga last night, your economic base will be your major fishing port, the most modern in the Caribbean, with boating facilities for 150 pirogues. The connectivity will be a total upgrade
to the tune of $500 million fixing every landslip along the Moruga Road from Piti Cafe Junction to Grashime. And for Rio Claro and Mayaro, your economic base is in the hands of the new Minister of Agriculture. An economic base based on agriculture here in Rio Claro, Navet, Kush, Beach, Pool, Ecclesville. And your connectivity will come from, we will immediately, on taking office, begin the construction, a project that was designed by the PNM from the highway from San Fernando to Mayaro. That highway will begin very early now on YouTube. And that highway will be cutting across sometimes north, sometimes south of the Napariba Mayaro Road. You will see turn off to Table Land, turn off to Pool, turn off to Rio Claro, turn off to Union, turn off to Mayaro. The highway actually ends at St. Anne's Village in Mayaro. And that will provide you with connectivity, and as you build on your economic base, which in Mayaro is largely still the energy sector out of Point Gagliota, and in the areas of Rio Claro and environs, it will be agriculture, agro-processing, agro-industries, which will be championed by your Member of Parliament. But ladies and gentlemen, I want to make it abundantly clear that rural development will not be destroying rural lives. You can still remain rural communities, but have all the facilities of a city. Because rural living is pristine, we all know that. You are your brother's keepers. You have friendly neighbors. You have community living, and you live in pristine environment. However, we will create the amenities for these communities that are required, that are equivalent to what you have in towns and cities. For example, why can't Beach not have broadband internet access? We will institute a program. We will go to the banks of Trinidad and Tobago with government assistance and introduce something we call ATM for rural communities. Because if you cannot have a bank, at least you can have an ATM machine. Because if you have broadband internet access, you can do internet banking. But if you physically need cash, what is so wrong in putting 4 or 5 ATM machines throughout the constituency of Mayaro, throughout the constituency of Moruga Table Land, throughout the constituency of Toko Sandy Grande, throughout the constituency of Kumoto Manzalina? So that will bring service to the people. So it is a whole well-defined and thought-out concept for rural development. So ladies and gentlemen, under this rural development program, you can no longer feel that you are country bookies. As a matter of fact, in writing up these notes for this speech, I remember a time when they used to say, the national dish of Beach is top and bottom. You know what's top and bottom, ladies and gentlemen? Dashing and dashing bush. And that was the connotations that sometimes was attached to rural areas. We will move away from that past. We will create a new dynamism in rural communities, new opportunities for your children to access education, to access economic development. We will create well-paid jobs in your community so you don't have to migrate, and this whole drift of rural to urban migration that has created all the housing challenges in the urban areas will become something of the past. So ladies and gentlemen, we have developed this plan in a very robust way. We are proud to present to the people of these 4 constituencies on the eastern seaboard here a cohesive and a congruent rural development plan that will service your needs. The other aspects of this plan will be covered in other meetings and has been covered throughout our campaign over this election. The issue of local government reform has been dealt extensively by Dr. Rowley and other speakers. And more recently, over the last couple of days, we have been focusing through Mr. Rambharat and other speakers. Tonight you had Mr. Avinash Singh on our renewed trust in agriculture. Because ladies and gentlemen, how can any serious country the size of Trinidad and Tobago have a food import bill of $4 to $5 billion? How can any serious country have agricultural contribution to GDP as 0.5%? 0.5% is half of 1%. contribution to gross GDP. Something has to break. Something has to happen. There's so much land over eastern Trinidad. Yesterday in Maruga, Dr. Rowley spoke about planting over the teak forests, planting over teak farms. And we have so many opportunities. It is just that governments in previous incarnation, for some strange reason, I don't know whether we was drunk or not. I have come from the energy sector. Okay, and sometimes you really get drunk when the oil price is high. And it's not such a bad thing that we could sober up now as the oil price goes to $40 and start to think in a very focused way of the future of this country. Because oil is a wasting asset. It is a non-renewable asset, and it will finish one day. The human species procreates itself. So you will have children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and great-great-grandchildren. But the oil wells do not make children. The oil wells, when the oil well is done, you have to cap it. You have to put 3 cement plugs in it and abandon it. So ladies and gentlemen, we cannot build our future on energy alone. Let's say thank God for energy. Thank God it has given us a good life in the past. Thank God it continues to give us a good life. But we have to save for the future, which is the Heritage and Stabilization Fund, which was formed by the PNM. We have to think about renewable and sustainable development. So ladies and gentlemen, I present to you proudly this PNM Manifesto. And to tell you, study it, think about it, and on September 7, put your finger and your X by the Balizi. So, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. I say without fear of contradiction that Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley has brought a new vision to the PNM. And he has introduced a new level of freshness and innovation to the thinking of the PNM. A lot of people say PNM is an old party with old ideas. But Dr. Rowley has brought freshness, innovation, and creativity to the PNM. We have redefined ourselves. We have re-engineered our party. And we are now ready, willing, and able to govern this country for many, many more years to come. So under Dr. Keith Rowley, we'll be marching forward to greater and better things in all of Trinidad and Tobago. The UNC says he has no plan. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Rowley has no plan. Dr. Rowley has articulated plans over the length and breadth of Trinidad and Tobago since this campaign has started. However, it has happened so seamlessly that you don't even realize what has hit you. And up to now, the UNC doesn't even realize that we have outlined so many plans and programs for Trinidad and Tobago that today their only plan in this election is to run music drop up and down throughout the 41 constituency, blasting music, trying to bust your airbell, while we have been lecturing and educating the population of Trinidad and Tobago on PNM plans and policy. So ladies and gentlemen, tonight, I want to pick up the Eastern Seaboard. If you are in Toko Sandy Grande, you vote for Glenda Jennings Smith. If you are in Komoto Manzalina, you vote for Mr. Barry Lochan. If you are in the constituency of Maruga Tableland, which was my former constituency also, you vote for a young dynamic gentleman called Dr. Lovell Francis. And if you are in the constituency of Mayaro, which was also part of the Olopia Mayaro, my constituency, I ask you to vote for your Rio Claro boy, now adopted in Mayaro, Mr. Clarence Rambharat. And as we come down to the victory, when we reach 19, somebody say 20, somebody say 21, and 21 is victory, but somebody say 22, and somebody say 23, and somebody say 24. I don't want to go to 25 yet, we still have a week still. So by the time of September the 7th, it will be well more than 25, ladies and gentlemen. But after we cross 21 in Balize House and throughout the 40 constituencies in Trinidad and Tobago, we will shout with relief and a sense of pride and victory that great is the PNM, great is the PNM, and it shall prevail.
Ladies and gentlemen, and as we move on yours. There is so much tempo, there is so much heat in the atmosphere. I know you are eager to go and put your ex by the Balize come Monday, 7th September. But at this juncture, I want to introduce a very special lady on the stage. She's no less a person than the wife of our candidate for the constituency of Mayaro, Mrs. Clarence Rambharat, who has a very special presentation to make to our political leader and the captain of our ship, Dr. the Honorable Keith Rowley. I ask you, Camille, this is a special presentation with a piece of craft that was made by the son of to just steal it. It represents our Trinidad and Tobago, a beautiful piece. And we thank you for this presentation. And the tempo continues. You know, we are in Rio Claro. The Spanish words mean clear river. Well, now we're going to hear it loud and clear as I invite our young brother from Sangre Grande, Mr. Rishi Singh, who has a special song to sing tonight. Come on, Rishi, let's hear you.
Are you all ready for September 7th? Put your two hands in the air. Let's go. Let me sing. Bye-bye, Kamla. What do you say? Bye-bye, Kamla, bye-bye. You put water in my eye. Let me tell it. Sing. Bye-bye, Kamla, bye-bye. Everybody. Bye-bye, Kamla, bye-bye. You say you have a plan, but you can't say who is Christian. Bye-bye, Kamla. Louder, everybody. 1, 2, everybody put your hands in the air. Let's go. Bye-bye, Kamla, bye-bye. Bye-bye, Kamla, bye-bye. Struggling to pick a set, scraping up candidates. Bye-bye, Kamla. Hit the road, everybody. Bye-bye, Kamla, bye-bye. It look like you in trouble, just pack up your charging bundle. Bye-bye, Kamla, bye-bye. You got to go. Bye-bye. Everybody put your hands in the air. Let's go, let's go. Sweet, man. Sing for me. Bye-bye, Kamla. Louder. Bye-bye, Kamla, bye-bye. Yeah, man. In the cop station, you manage broadcast castration. Bye-bye. What? Bye-bye, Kamla, bye-bye. You are not a thing that you put to free 8,000 after SOE. I hear all your shot. Put the two hands in the air. Put the two hands in the air. I'm telling you, man. Bye-bye, Kamla, bye-bye. Bye-bye, Kamla, bye-bye. Listen. He take 2 profit to a 1, then he 400 million. Bye-bye, Kamla, bye-bye. Bye-bye, Kamla, bye-bye. Steve and this get through the back door cause of section 34. Bye-bye. What's it? I want to see everybody hands in the air. Hands in the air. If you love the PNM, put your hands in the air. Let's go, let's go. Put your hand in the air. In the road. Everybody show. Let's do this. Put your hands in the air. Come on, come on. Higher, higher. Put your hands in the air. Put your hands in the air. That's so nice. Let me hear it. Bye-bye, Kamla, bye-bye. Bye-bye, Kamla, bye-bye. Millions missing from life, all of them still can't give no refund. Bye-bye, Kamla, bye-bye. Bye-bye, Kamla, bye-bye. I'm feeling the pain. You and she red, then police give it hungry. Bye-bye. Everybody in the road, put your hands in the air. Hands in the taking that so. Got to go. Let's sing. Bye-bye, Kamla, bye-bye. Bye-bye, Kamla, bye-bye. Your highest at the front, false papers you applaud. Bye-bye, first one. Bye-bye, Kamla. Let's do this one, yeah. Chain and make the right thing, but the lawyer couldn't help it. Bye-bye, Kamla, bye-bye. Bye-bye. Everybody put your hands in the air. Put your hands in the air. Yes, one, yes, one. Bye-bye, Kamla, bye-bye. Bye-bye, Kamla. Hear me. I am smoking to a one, but you say he wasn't the one. Bye-bye, Kamla. What's up? Bye-bye, Kamla. Get this one. And I was the boss of prison gate when the election done, you changed it. Bye-bye, Kamla. Bye-bye, Kamla. Put your hands in the air. Go give up. Anybody for Rio Claro? Bye-bye, Kamla. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Kamla. Bye-bye. True story. You and Stella, you can't buy Joe. Well, I run in the bank drive. Bye-bye, Kamla. Fucking try it. Bye-bye, Kamla. Yeah, Lord. SIS was bouncing jet, now he buying private jets. Bye-bye. Everybody say, hello, Rowley, hello. Hello, Rowley, hello. Hello, Rowley, hello. Hello, Rowley, hello. Somebody put it to us in here.
And as we bid farewell to her, the time has come, ladies and gentlemen, for us to welcome the man of the moment. It is my pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, to introduce the person whose time has come. He is the one who will unite us as a nation. As we celebrate our country's independence on Monday, we have the opportunity the following Monday to show to the world that we have matured as a nation. Let us not allow race and tribalism to prevent us from doing what is right for our nation at this time. Let us embrace our next speaker as the leader of our country. He was born in October 1949 in Mason Hall, Tobago. He completed his secondary schooling at Bishop's High School in Tobago, and then commenced his studies at the University of the West Indies in Mona, Jamaica, with a BSc in Geology, first class honors, in Geography, first class honors, and MSc. He is a volcanologist who obtained his doctorate in geology. He is a nature lover who served this country in so many capacities. Ladies and gentlemen, we recall when he sat in the Senate of the opposition benches. And then he became a minister of government. He was a minister of agriculture in Trinidad and Tobago, ladies and gentlemen. He was a minister of planning and development. He was a minister of trade and industry. And of course, a minister of housing in our blessed country. Ladies and gentlemen, he is our most experienced parliamentarian today in Trinidad and Tobago. His time has come. He is the captain of our ship, and he will steer our ship of state safely into calm waters. As I introduce and invite to the microphone our dear and beloved political leader, Dr. the Honorable Christopher Rowley.
Thank you very much, former chairman of the Southwell Abington Corporation, Mrs. Nafiza Mohammed, party chairman, Mr. Franklin Khan, deputy chairman, Mrs. Camille Robbins, deputy chairman, Mr. Colin Imbert, lady vice chairman, Mrs. Camille Robinson Regis, other party officers, and tonight I would like to recognize the chairman of the corporation, the most eastern corporation out in Toko Sangre Grande, our very own Terry Rodden. He's come all the way from Toko Matlat to be here with us tonight in Rio Claro. I'd also recognize the mayor of San Fernando, Alderman Kazim Hussein. On the head table tonight, I would like to recognize one of the young people who came in local government in 2013 when that call was made to our young people to come forward and take responsibility for this country. Mr. Andy Mirage, Cocal Marketing, PNM Councillor. And I recognize the next member of parliament from Maruga Tableland, somewhere in the audience here, Dr. Lovell Francis. Last night the people of Maruga came out in their thousands, very much as you are here tonight, to signify their support for the resurgence of the PNM and the saving of our nation. And on the platform tonight, coming out of Cowley Central, another young man who has done so wonderfully well in his development as a public official, Mr. Avinash Singh, the PNM candidate for Cowley Central. One of the fastest developing politicians in Trinidad and Tobago. And he is carrying a banner in Cowley Central. And on the platform tonight is another young man, a businessman, a pilot, coming to us from Pointe-a-Pierre, Mr. Neil Mohammed. And he will fill the vacancy occupied by Mr. Aaron McLeod for the last 5 years. And of course, probably the best qualified and best prepared new candidate in 2015. Light years ahead of any opposition, the member of parliament to be for the constituency of Mayaro, representing the Long community from Rio Claro to Mayaro, from Navet Kush all the way down. Congratulations. This candidate, Mr. Clarence Rambharat. And I would like to make a very special welcome to a guest of ours tonight. A man who we had a lot of conversations before. And they say the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. But some people take a circuitous route. Maybe they see a greater vision. Maybe they have a greater view of the landscape and they go sightseeing. My friend Gypsy went sightseeing. When we sat down to eat in the breakfast shed at my mother's kitchen, and I tell him, Gypsy, come with me in the PNM. He has all kinds of other excuses. He gone all kinds of circuitous route. And tonight we welcome him in our gathering in Rio Claro. We had some long discussions before, but we don't hold it against anybody who chooses another political party. Because basically, all the political parties and the politicians who come forward, we have to assume, and we verily believe that they would like to develop our country, and sometimes the visions are different. Sometimes the policies and programs are different. It's a different route, but the objective might be the same. Some deviate and some don't have what it takes. So when they go somewhere else and they come back to the PNM and say, look, you know what? I've been around, but I've now decided to join up with your effort. We say welcome and thank you. And any effort of any citizen to combine that effort with the PNM's effort to develop Trinidad and Tobago, we of the PNM say, welcome, good idea. And that's why we are here tonight in Rio Claro, saying to the people of Rio Claro, it's been a long time since you have voted in a PNM Member of Parliament. 2015 is your time to do that. So whether you live in Kush, in Navet, in Bish, in Ecclesville, in Mayaro, in wherever you are in this constituency, Mr. Clarence Rambharat is the best candidate on offer. Choose the best and forget the rest. You see, we have been on this campaign for quite some time. And we of the PNM have not been afraid to come to you, the people. We spent our time in the opposition preparing for this period when you would be looking to see what's on offer and what the future holds for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. We spent 3 years reviewing our policies and our programs. So when we presented a manifesto, members of the national community have said to us that they have never seen a better prepared document or a more professional presentation of the manifesto. And the PNM, in our 60th year, we have been accustomed to being copied. Our constitution has been copied by a number of political organizations. But copying it is one thing, but putting it to practice is another thing. Only the PNM has been able to properly operate our constitution. So in our 60th year, we are still rooted in the fundamental principles of that constitution, and we honor it and we follow it. I'm afraid we can't say the same for those who copied it. But even in this election campaign, I am amazed. I'm amazed as leader of the opposition that we are running 2 campaigns. We're running the PNM campaign and we're providing direction to the UNC campaign. We decided for the first time to launch our candidates according to the regions. We broke the country up into 5 regions and we said we'll have 5 presentations. We started in Arima, regional presentation, presenting those candidates from the eastern part of the country. Then we went to Tobago, then we went to South, and so on. Next thing we know, UNC having regional presentation. Then of course we had a campaign slogan. We said to the people of Trinidad and Tobago, we all in this together. And once we acknowledged that we're in this together and we are brothers keeper, we said, let's do this together. That's our campaign slogan. Let's do this together. 2 weeks before the election, the UNC comes up with a slogan, let's move forward together. As if we wouldn't know they're copying our slogan. And then of course, they spent the whole 5 years trying to bar talk me, as if that is the campaign for 2015. If they had a bucket of mud to make a Keith Rowley, that is what they would have made. But thank God I was made in a different way, in a different place. So what they're saying I am is not what I am. So I sat down with Julian Rogers, who wanted to know who I was. And I talked to Julian Rogers 4 months ago. And then we presented it some night. Next thing I know, I want to sit down with somebody. But in meeting with you, the people, most times we have meetings like this where the platform speaks to you and we give you information and we tell you what our policies and programs are, but in these gatherings you don't have an opportunity to speak to us. So in 2015, we took the decision that we will go out there, not just me, the team. We will go out there and I'll go on stage with 2 or 3 or 4 of my colleagues and we'll sit down in front of communities. We will talk to you and you talk to us. We did it in Westmoreland, we did it in Covine, in La Joqueta, in San Fernando and so on. Next thing I know, Kamala having conversation. But the difference between those conversations is that we listen to you as you spontaneously speak to us and we respond to what you say to us. You didn't see us with any earpiece in our ears and any teleprompter to tell us what to say. We come to you, we genuine. What you see is what you get. What you tell us, we respond to. And that goes on. We prepared our 41 candidates. We had a candidate profile prepared by our in-house team so we can put them on television saying to you who they are, what they represent in their constituencies and where they're running for and so on. Next thing we see one of those come up from the UNC. And I'm asking myself, did they really expect to run an election? Or did Mrs. Kamala Persad-Bissessar intend to stay in office without election in the country the way she stayed without election in her party? And now they're totally confused. Totally confused by the campaign because it is only the PNM that's involved in the general election campaign. So Rambharat was hiding somewhere. But he stuck his head out like a turtle to make a statement. And the statement is this. It's the same set of PNM people from the land, from the long time who going up again. It's the same PNM people. Same old PNM. That's Rambharat. Apparently, he didn't see the presentations. He didn't see the large quantity of well-prepared young people who have come forward, and this PNM has presented a slate of candidates like no other in the history of this country, where you have invested in young people and they have now come forward in graft. This is the PNM in transition, coming forward to represent themselves and to the country, largely young people with the support of a significant experience of myself and Imbert and Hines and other people like that. But Rambharat see the same old PNM. But while he's saying that, the leader of the UNC is saying that the PNM's team is too green. I don't know what this lady has with color. She get enough trouble with Grey Goose. Now it's green this, and it's yellow that, and it's silver this, and it's gold. Leave color alone. Our team is not a green team. They might be coming forward for the first time to serve in public life, but they bring with them a wealth of experience and preparation. You heard tonight the very impressive curriculum vitae of Mr. Clarence Rambharat. Hardly a candidate could ever have been so well prepared and so experienced, so highly qualified, but for the first time he is going into public life in the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago. We have in our lineup 2 generals, Brigadier General Ansel Antoine, Major General Edmund Dillon. These are generals who ran our defense force, but for the first time they are offering themselves to serve in Parliament. Mrs. Kamala Persad-Bissessar called them green. Neil Mohammed is one of the most successful young businessmen of a business house in San Fernando, a household name in Pointe-a-Pied and all of South Trinidad, Fen Mohammed. He has held office in aviation industry in Trinidad and Tobago. He's a very experienced pilot, but in her eyes he's green. And I can list for you every PNM candidate tonight if I had the time, and you will see that they are highly and eminently qualified to represent their constituency in the Parliament. So, confused as they are as to who the PNM is, I open the papers today and I see the Prime Minister in her regalia telling us Happy Independence Day with a statement that says, today we are, the lady don't even know when Independence Day is. Any Prime Minister of this country who doesn't know that August 29th is not Independence Day and that Independence Day is August 31st any prime minister who don't know that, either very confused, high on something, or just never was prepared to run this country. I read the thing 2 or 3 times today. Big picture, big congratulations, today Independence Day, with 2 days to go. But I suspect it's just, they're just overwhelmed by the fact that they were ill prepared for a general election. Did you see what happened with the selection of candidates? Within hours of nomination day, she was still selecting candidates, giving them a take it or leave it. They couldn't rectify nothing if something had gone wrong. They would have lost a seat because they wait until nomination evening, the evening before, to select candidates. And all kinds of carryings on in there. But when we were preparing our candidates, she had a lot to say about the PNM business, while her house was in disarray. And what you saw there at the screening is exactly how the government was run. Total confusion, blackmail, deal-making, shocks, and temper. That's what it was. And they want 5 more years to go into government with the team that they have. The team that they have cannot stand scrutiny against the PNM team, and that is why they're hiding them. With 1 week to go, before the campaign ends next weekend, have you seen those who ran your country for the last 5 years? Have you seen them coming out in person, standing on a platform and saying, we have spent $400 billion, we have done well, we have done this, we have done that, so therefore we qualify to continue? No. You don't see them. They expect to go back into office because they believe they have some votes on lock in some constituencies. And the people who cast those votes, it doesn't matter how much they misbehave, how incompetent they are, how much they thief, how much they give away, how much they waste, how much they are ill prepared for the job, those votes are going to send them back. But I have a message for them tonight. The people of Trinidad and Tobago have become more and more sophisticated in dealing with such politicians. And they have a shock to get. Many people who they believe will vote dumbly behind them because of race and religion and other considerations, they will vote because they want good government and they know bad governance when they see it. And therefore, we are confident that on the 7th of September, the majority of voters will come out and intervene to protect the well-being of all of us in Trinidad and Tobago. We have suffered from bad governance. It has cost us dearly. There are a lot of challenges ahead, and we know that when you have your most difficult wicket, you want your best batsman in the wicket. And the best batsman in the wicket in 2015 is the People's National Movement. We've come into these parts of the country in the southeast where we have paid particular focus, because if we are to diversify our economy, it must not just be a cliche and say this one didn't diversify and that what diversify means doing something additional to what you're doing. Not relying entirely on what you have, but doing other things. What is the strength of this region here? The strength of this region here is the potential for agricultural economy. Whatever else you may have, you've turned out some brilliant intellectuals from Rio Claro. In fact, there's a friend of mine who worked with me, and we have this standing joke that every so often when something comes up on the national news, I'll get a call and say, guess what? And I say, yes, I know what happened. They're from Rio Claro. Rio Claro people are all over Trinidad and Tobago's administration, and you usually don't know. Largely because most of them have left Rio Claro and have gone elsewhere. But when they make the news, for good or for bad, if you trace their roots, you find that Rio Claro, like Tobago, has contributed tremendously to the national development of Trinidad and Tobago. And we are saying that we need to make better use, a fuller use of the resources of this area. But you need people with the vision, the drive, the understanding, and the passion to get it done. And that is where Clarence Rambharat impressed me. He has all of those attributes. And that is where Avinash Singh impressed me. And that is where Dr. Lovell Francis impressed me. These young people have the passion to do for this area what has not been done before. What they told you tonight is that Avinash Singh is a farmer. What they didn't tell you. I understand farming. I'm a registered farmer. I must be this only Avinash registered? Okay. The PNM has in its lineup 2 registered farmers. You go to the records in Tobago, the current records, and I'm a registered farmer. I grew up in farming. I understand what farming can do to a community. I came out of farming communities. I saw my parents and my grandparents raise our generation from tilling the soil and raising animals. And we did that with no second-class citizen put on our shoulder. We did it with pride, with dignity, and the vision that the future is bright and we can go forward and upward. And if we take that approach to this part of the country, there are a lot of things that we can do, specific things. And I want Clarence Rambharat with me to be able to take the management responsibility for those specific things. And that is why I was able to say, on September 7th, you elect a PNM government and the Minister of Agriculture will be Clarence Rambharat. Because he is the best prepared person to execute the program that we have in mind. Let's take cocoa. There's a company in this country now producing high quality, high grade cocoa called Cocoa Bell. There's a company that is could you prevent that destruction from coming in front here, please? We're talking some serious things here. We don't want any destruction like that. Just keep it across there. There's a company in this country, local investment, small business, producing high quality, high grade novel called Cocoa Bell, where we are selling fine flavored finished cocoa, not selling cocoa beans to go and blend in Switzerland, you know. Producing a fine product ready for eating, beautifully packaged. The same way you can pass through a European country in a duty-free area and buy some chocolate well packaged and the country it came from doesn't have one cocoa tree. This small business is saying and is doing that business of selling Cocoa Bell. There are others who might be able to do it, but very soon you will hear they can't get a raw material supply. Cocoa is in short supply to keep it going. And if for one reason or the other they hit the market, sometimes it only takes one superstar to buy a package and make a newspaper article and your product has gone clear. That's how it is in fashion and in food. Some celebrity drinks a certain brand of champagne and all of a sudden the manufacturer can't produce enough. So we are saying, in the local government reform arrangement, in Princestown, in the eastern counties, we will identify selected best areas for the growing of cocoa. We're not going to grow cocoa to swamp the world market, we cannot. But we can pick the best land and set a target for a certain acreage of replanting or regeneration. And if you focus on that, some of the money we're spending now in the CPEP, where we're just cutting roads, and worse, where CPEP money going into pockets of big business that it shouldn't go. If some of you here are engaged in that program of targeting specific acreage of cocoa revitalization, we can increase our product and eventually we can enter the marketplace producing a high quality grade cocoa and a high quality grade chocolate. We can do that. And we'll have a processing business in the country that can grow. And if it can grow based on the supply that's guaranteed, then they can market more aggressively, and that is diversification into what area. My wife brought home a product recently. It was soursop juice. I tasted it, and it was the finest juice that I've tasted for the longest while. And the first thing that crossed my mind is, where is the raw supply coming from? I suspect it's coming from Grenada, because we don't really produce soursop in Trinidad and Tobago. But What is to prevent us in these parts from setting out specifically to grow 50, 60, 100, 200, 300 acres of soursop and to process it and to put it in the school feeding program and to export it, because it is such a fine product? And that could be a small business that can grow to a medium business and can even grow to a larger business. Where did SM Jalil start from? With Chubby. Today Chubby is all over the world because we can produce it and you go into the market and you put it there. And farming is something that, it's called plant or animal husbandry, where you have to take care of it. It requires labor, it requires care, and if you produce it, then we don't have to import it. We are importing Florida orange juice now, a liter at $40, but we can't get a gallon of Trinidad orange juice. But if we take the position that we want to pay for the rest of our lives for Florida orange juice, there's going to come a day we have no money to pay for it. But if, on the other hand, the very money we're using now in European CPEP and the policies we're pursuing, which are unproductive, if we change those policies by a different attitude, where we've given people 50 acres of citrus from Cardi, and having got it, they are now producing nothing because they're semi-abandoned. If, on the other hand, they get assistance, or those who want to use it get it to use, and to regenerate the production, then we can be producing some of our own juices. Not all of it. We might be able to import some as well, but we certainly must produce more here. I went to Cuba, and for breakfast they produced 2 juices. One was pawpaw and the other was guava. And again, the finest juice you could taste was that pink Cuban guava juice. Avinash is growing guava in central Trinidad. Have you ever seen a guava that you can weigh and it almost weighs a pound? Well, we can grow it here. So we can set about to plant a few acres of that by specific attitude on the lands that are available. And most of those lands are available in these counties on the eastern side of our country. You won't see it in St. James, you won't see it in Diego Martin, but you can do it in Tobago, you can do it in Rio Claro, and it requires focus. And a lot of the money we are spending now in the social support system is money that is, in fact, if put to productive use, can benefit all of us. A lot of the money that is wasted and stolen in this country today, if a small amount of it is put on these specific programs, then at the end of 3 years or 4 years or 5 years, we can see some improvement in the area. And when that happens, for that to happen, there has to be people in government who understand how it could happen. Last night in Moruga, I spoke about the expansion of forestry and using forestry to rehabilitate our environment where there has been degrading of the environment, or growing forestry very much like the tea plantations which we have grown for commercial harvesting. But to do that, and to do what I've just said there about the agro-processed drinks and so on, we need first and foremost to establish maybe 2 or 3 very good nurseries. And for the first year, the effort might simply be in getting the seedlings and preparing the planting material. But if we have thousands of plants available after the first year or the second year, then we're ready to plant the land. So it's a program with a start, and it has an outcome that can benefit all of us. That is an area where the government can spend money, and I need Clarence Rambharat to take charge of that program. And I need Rio Claro to get in that program. I need Avinash Singh in that program, and I need you, the people of Rio Claro, in that program. That is how a government which I lead would spend money and would have programs specifically targeting the things that we can do. I know a farmer who comes to Marabella Market every weekend selling cassava. He went to UWI. He, like Avinash, studied how plants grow, how to harvest them. They're concerned and know something about post-harvest care, about diseases for plants and so on. And he, instead of looking for a job in somebody's office, he went and became a cassava farmer. Today, I'm sure he's better off than I am with respect to his resources in the bank. Because as a supplier of quality cassava, he has a clientele, he knows how to grow it, and he harvests it on an ongoing basis, and he makes a living for himself and his family. So agriculture in 2015 might not be the same thing it was 50 and 60 years ago. There was a time we grew bananas, We grew grapefruits for export. Banana disease destroyed us. And of course, we did sugarcane. Now, there are other things which our market can give us the return on. You just go and look at the products that we buy and ask yourself, what can the local farmer produce? And how can the local farmer be organized to produce more? We can have farming cooperatives in these areas with some support from the government. Of course, don't expect the government to do everything for you. What the government will do is to lay down the infrastructure and to give you reasonable support and to give you outstanding technical support, and then you will now take the responsibility to bring it to fruition. That's what we're talking about. And the most important thing is to have people who know something about it and want to do something about it. How to manage the public service, who will help you with it. So the first thing that they will have to do is to identify the lands that are available for agricultural expansion. And then when we see that acreage, we then determine what do we encourage farmers to do on those lands. And in terms of forestry, we have a green fund in this country. Has about $2 billion in it. We'll take a small amount of that money to establish and expand the nursery for forestry items. Choose the species, use the expert in forestry to grow the seedlings, and then we set about to rehabilitate districts and areas which have been downgraded and degraded, and where we try to plant commercial stands, we do that. So we can have a conservancy where a lot of acreage, without being environmentally damaging, we introduce the species that are compatible and they benefit all of us. So the Green Fund could be used beneficially in this way. It will create employment. That is a major problem in this area, employment. This employment where the government gives you minimum wage to stand by the roadside is not a job. It ought to be a temporary station where if you get it, you spend some time there, but keep your eye on something else. But if you are engaged in production and farming and agro-processing and so on, that could be a job that takes you a long way. And it could be small business that could grow, and it could be beneficial in a long, long way. And you're not exposed to the vagaries of governmental changes, and when the government change, everybody afraid about losing a CPEP job or a URP position. That is degrading to our people. And when the government is telling you about doubling the CPEP and doubling the URP, they think that is politically sound, but it's damaging to the country overall. You need less and less people on URP. URP means unemployment relief program. It ought not to mean work for granny, work for daughter, work for granddaughter, and 3 generations inside there. And I want to say something specifically to the Afro-Trinidadian population here. There's a lot that you can learn from the rest of this country, and the quicker you start to learn it, the better for all of you. And people who tell you that URP and CPEP is all that you're worth, as Lloyd Best would say, them is people to watch, because they're not helping you. In my own constituency, I do not encourage my constituents into URP, because once you get into that, what's the way out? And you spend your most formative years in there, and worse, start killing one another over URP jobs. Half of the killing in this country is funded by the state, funding the wrong programs, because there's no way out and there's no way up from those programs. What I'm offering you here is a new look at how we live together and how we move forward. I was raised by my grandfather, and other than what he did on his farm, when he became a pensioner, old age pension was $14 a month. And I was raised on that and the work of a farmer. I saw my father sell a whole 3-ton chuck of goats for $240. But in those days, that was a lot of money. And they taught us, it's not what you work for, it's what you do with it. It's what you do with it. And my crusade in this particular election, and the ones before that I have led the PNM through, is for the young people of Trinidad and Tobago. I'm appealing to the young people of Trinidad and Tobago. In this election, come out and cast your vote for the PNM. The PNM has your interest at heart and is concerned about your future. It is the PNM that would have laid the foundation for where we are today. And while we haven't gone as far as we could have gone in national development, to go forward, you need the PNM in office to ensure that there's fairness, there's a vision, there's opportunity, and there's respect across the national community. I promise you, as your leader, you elect the PNM on September 7th, and I'm the Prime Minister of this country, and I will bring back respect to the office of Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. And you elect Dr. Lovely Francis in Moruga, and Clarence Rambharat here, and Neil Mohammed in Pontepia, and every MP in Trinidad and Tobago will carry that office with dignity and respect. And our country might be facing a difficult period, but all countries face difficulties. That is not the end of the story. It's how you handle your difficult situations, how you respond to your difficult situation. As I speak to you now, Dominica is in ruins. One thunder shower, and they would have been set back for almost a decade. Those people will now be required not to do what we have to do, but to respond to their own difficulty, which a week ago they didn't have. 1 week ago they didn't know that the entire country would have been wrecked like that. Fortunately, even with our own difficulties, we are able to render them some assistance, and we are doing it with our hearts held to them. We feel for a small community like Dominica, and you lose 20 people in one storm. That is heart-rending. But I've been through Hurricane Flora. I know how they feel. I came home from school in 1963, and there was not a single house standing in my district. I slept in a tent for a month and a half, and slept on cots, and shared a communal latrine with the whole village. You gotta cross these hurdles from time to time. And what they do, they don't break you, they make you stronger. They make you stronger. So I have a good understanding of the life in Rio Claro, and I also know that this little corner of Trinidad and Tobago is an area not very well known to the national community. But there are jewels in this community which represent the best of Trinidad and Tobago. And Clarence Rambharat represents the best of those jewels. As I came here tonight coming in from the east, I was moved by the energy I saw of the young people, particularly the young females, who are always in the PNM out front in our party and our party's business, walking quickly to a public meeting to come and take part in this gathering here this evening. And I'm saying to myself, what responsibility do we have for them? I worked opposite St. Augustine Senior Comprehensive School for years, and the door of the seismic research unit opened onto the door of that school. And sometimes I'll come and stand by the door mid-afternoon when I'm resting my eyes, and I'd look out and school's over. And there'll be these hundreds of children just pouring out of school, laughing and joking and playing around without a care in the world. And I'm saying to myself, who is looking out for them? Who is building their future? Do they know what the future will be? And how can we guarantee that when they get to the point where they want to participate in the national economy, that a space is made for them? That is what drives me in this crusade to put the PNM back in office, to give the young people of this country the opportunity which I got when I was their age. We know we have to expand the economy. We set about to do so in the industrial area. This government shut down every single opportunity. They shut down the E-Tech Park, they shut down the aluminum smelter, they shut down the fish market in Carnage. And you ask yourself, when you shut down here, shut down here, shut down there, shut down there, and offer no replacement, where are the opportunities going to come for the next generation of those who are seeking employment? It can't be in URP and CPEP. They're telling us that unemployment is 3.5%. That is their story. We do polls in the constituencies, and 12% of the people who we talk to are saying that unemployment is their biggest issue. But the government is telling you unemployment is 3%. And as for underemployment, many of the young people, some of them in this crowd tonight, would have gone and qualified themselves, beat the book, studied, showed the discipline, and when they come out, all that they can be offered is an OJT, minimum wage job. And after a while of that, there's nothing wrong with OJT, but T there must be temporary. It was meant to give you a little experience to move into the next level. So anybody holding out OJT to you after you've studied so long and so hard, they don't have a clue as to what you were about. And when the opportunities don't come, then the young people get frustrated, they feel stressed, and they feel betrayed. Those are the issues and the challenges in Trinidad and Tobago today. It's not about who look pretty on a television and telling you, hold my hand. In fact, Gypsy will tell you, don't touch that hand. I'm telling you, I put God in front and walk behind. Nonsense. If you were doing that, you would never see Anand Logan and Roberts in front of you. Now, we have to get serious in this country. We've done well on what we had, but we need more, and we are aspiring to higher. And if we are not to lose the gains we made, we got to get serious. And one of the things I want to say to you, especially you, the young people, take responsibility. Because we can give you opportunities. The government can give you opportunities, but if you accept no responsibility and just pass through the school or wait and blame somebody else, you spend your life blaming somebody else and you'd be a career victim. Face up to the challenges. Ensure that there's fairness in the laws and the policies. Speak up when there is not. Let your voice be heard. Let your presence be felt. And let Trinidad and Tobago be the home of which you're proud. I am proud of this country, notwithstanding all that's been done to it. But this country has been good to me, and I'm offering myself to lead you and lead you to a better place. I have been around the political arena for 3 decades, and on this occasion, I am particularly proud to lead the team of people that we have sourced as a result of this PNM screening process. Every man or woman who is on our slate is a person of whom their parent is proud and the community is proud, and every father or mother could say to a child, I want you to be like so-and-so. Every man and woman in Rio Claro could say to a young child, I want you to be like Clarence Rambharat. And that is how you measure it. Every young father or old grandfather in Colony Central could point to Avinash Singh and say, look at Avinash, I want you to be like him. And I would like to believe that the people of Mason Hall, of Diego Martin, of Rio Claro could point to their children and say, I want you to be like Keith Rowley. And that is how I would know that I've succeeded. With respect to local government reform, we want to give the communities greater identification. We give you greater responsibility. We allow you to manage your unemployment program. We allow you to manage CPEP. We allow you to manage the social distribution services, because you will know better than we will do in Port of Spain who are the people in the community who qualify and should get the benefits of what Parliament passes for them. Whether they are physically challenged, emotionally challenged, mentally challenged, you in the community would know. And if there are resources going astray, you would know who is taking it astray. And you will have the responsibility to prevent such persons from holding office. We will give you the structure. We'll give you the public servants. We'll give you the public service. But the political management will be in your hands. That is the kind of responsibility of the 21st century. And when we give you that, we hold you too responsible for what you produce. We have 14 corporations in Trinidad and 1 in Tobago. Not all of them will be managed the same way at the same time. They aim to be all A1. But if one falls into be a B or a C, then we know who's falling behind and we know how to compare our progress. As I speak to you now, I can tell you that the Tobago House of Assembly, managing Tobago's affairs with local executive authority and their own budget and their own cash flow, unlike you here. Go to Tobago and see the quality of life and the quality of the environment and the quality of public buildings in Tobago, and you will come back saying Tobago is better managed than Trinidad. I give you the opportunity here to do that. So young people like Andy Maraj and Butch, who came so close to being a councillor here, next time around the local government is next year. We're going to win the general election this year and become the government of Trinidad and Tobago. And next year, when local government would have received the devolution of authority, it will be the most exciting time in local government. But I want to make one point. There are those who have no idea what to do, except that they believe that by being in office they're doing you a favor. They're doing you no favor. I am doing you no favor. You would have done us a favor by selecting us to represent you. And they're saying to you, first thing they're saying, oh, local government reform wouldn't happen. But let me tell you why it will happen. Because the person who is driving the process, I am that person. And I'm the person who took over the PNM leadership and could have stayed in office until 2017 uninterfered with. But instead I gave up one of the first 5 years. I spent 4 years. And I gave every member in the party a vote. Unlike 800 delegates choosing the party executive, every member was entitled to cast a vote, and we moved heaven and earth to put in place the arrangements for PNM members to come out like a general election and vote for the PNM executive. And tonight I speak to you as a leader who trusted that process, and the members of the PNM returned my trust with 93% of the vote. So I have no fear. I have no fear about giving people responsibility and laying my future in the hands of people. So when we say we'll give local government authority in Trinidad, we have an example to look at in Tobago, how successful it has been, and I have no fear that you will do well with what you're given. So when they come and tell you first, it wouldn't be done, the next thing they tell you, well, if it is done, you would lose your jobs. Nonsense. There will be a requirement for more jobs because you are getting more responsibility and you have to discharge more to the people. The Tobago County Council was but a shadow of what the THA is now. When the THA came into being, because of the organizational arrangements and the requirement to uplift the administration, the THA had to absorb more staff. So anybody who tells you that local government reform will bring about loss of jobs, they're trying to fool you to keep you where you are. We are saying that where you are is not where you're supposed to be. We are saying, come with us, we'll take you forward and take you upward. And to do that, we have to be stronger at the base and more responsible at the top. And I take responsibility for the team that I lead. We say to you, a lot of wrongdoing is taking place in this country. A lot of people know what is going on, but they are afraid to tell you what is happening to you and about your resources. And one of the things that we will do in the face of all these changes is to pass into law for the first time in this country, very early in the life of this government that to come, we will pass whistleblower legislation. We have already drafted the bill. We have had our lawyers use the Malta example, and we have a draft bill which will go to the public servants, and very soon we'll have something to bring to the parliament which says that if a person sees something wrong, especially within the walls of authority, within the government system, within the public service particularly, they can speak up and be protected. Because a lot of the wrongdoing that is taking place in this country is getting away because the wrongdoer knows that those who know will say nothing about it. And on that basis, they take liberties with your resources. And of course, if you have 10 people in a place and one is a thief, and that thief is prospering through thievery, the other 9 will look on and say, but I'm a fool. So he could thief and get away. So what about me? And the next thing you have 2 thieves. And then you have 4. And next thing the whole place that thief them. Because the first one was getting away with it and prospering and set the example to the others. It's like late coming in on the job. Your worker comes to work late. One comes to work late. Come 7:30, nothing is done. Next day is 8 o'clock. Next day is 9 o'clock. Next day is not come at all. Next thing you know, your hard worker coming late. And before you know it, all your workers coming late. Because you have not stopped the problem when it started. And we are going to change that with whistleblower legislation. There are too many people in Trinidad and Tobago who have freedom and access to public resources. This government has been very cavalier and reckless with giving away state land and state property. Contracts given left, right and center with no controls. And now we speak about hundreds of millions and billions as though we are the Bank of Switzerland. In fact, what we're facing is increased debt. In the last 5 years, this government has increased the public debt by 64% in 5 years. It took us God knows how many years to bring the public debt to, I think it's $59 billion. Right now, after 5 years, it is now $111 billion. Another 5 years of that, and we'll end up in a situation where we're drowning in debt. Is that what you want for your future? Is that what the children want? What you want is good governance. You want fiscal responsibility. You want people in the central bank who know about central banking. You want people in the hospital who know about hospital management. But this government make false papers a new part of our dictionary. I have 3 degrees from UWI. And every time I hear them talking about degrees, I cringe. Because I'm being told that the country is awash with false papers. And many of them are in very serious positions of great danger. How many of you want to be on a plane and find out halfway to New York that the pilot papers is fake? How many of you? How many of you want to lie down in the hospital and the doctor in the white suit come with and is over you and you hear that fella, that one there, he really passed the exam, you know? You go to the pharmacy to buy medicine and the young lady behind who is prescribing the medicine and giving you, when you go outside there, you know, she didn't, that paper ain't good, you know. Right now in India, there's a campaign going on by the Indian government across India to weed out false papers from the system. All kinds of engineers in India, they're discovering now that thousands of people in India have false degrees in engineering. You want them to go and build any bridge for you, build any, next thing you know, death and destruction. So we have to have proper certification. We have to insist that people must not do things like that with impunity. And this government has encouraged that. There was one particular gentleman they put on a commission of inquiry. The man lied about his qualification. Then when he was exposed, he said, well, my CV is 80% accurate. Question, which 20% is wrong? And the government allowed him to stay there. And then they did a report, and he signed it. And I never even read it. So Trinidad and Tobago, young people in particular, young people of Rio Claro, and especially those of you young people in the rural districts, you would have heard me say 3 years ago that the next government will be a PNM government, and in that government there will be a minister for rural development. It was because I understood and I am being driven by the fact that we need to do more for the people in the rural districts. I have already seen where that would be located. And the role of that Minister for Rural Development will be to follow what the Parliament allocates to the rural districts and to ensure that the development program is executed in the rural districts to bring very quickly the standard of participation in the national economy and the national society, those people who have been left behind in the rural districts. A Minister of Local Government will have the job to ensure that you are no longer left behind. Vote for the PNM, vote for those ideas, vote for those programs, vote for your future, and vote to save Trinidad and Tobago. I'm very thankful to all of you for the way you've supported our campaign. We feel immensely buoyed at your participation in these meetings as an indication that you will come out and support the PNM candidates. So when you come out on September 7th, it might be a rainy day. Get an umbrella. Make sure you bring out your neighbor. Make sure you bring out your family. Make sure you bring out your friends. Get to the polling station and cast your vote in Mayaro, Rio Claro for Clarence Rambharat. And tonight I'm not a betting man, but once you, the people of Rio Claro, vote for Clarence Rambharat, the government of Trinidad and Tobago is guaranteed to be a PNM government, and Trinidad and Tobago would have been saved. So Rio Claro is in your hands. It's all in your hands. It turns on you. Everything else is extra. Be the vote that brings Clarence Rambharat home. Be the constituency that brings the PNM home. And be the citizen that say, great is the PNM. Great is the PNM. Great is Trinidad and Tobago. And may God continue to bless us all.
Rio Claro, are you ready? Rio Claro, ready? I want to hear it. Say let's do this. Keep me up, you're ready. We rolling with the for the love of your country, bring your vote for the vision and family. Keep me up, get ready. We rolling with the are you ready? Look. Say, come on, my people, let's stand together. Underneath the red, white, and black banner, yeah. We're not corruption like leads in Tascata. Tricks and insult the people, them flattered. The partnership done, sink already. So vote PNM for top tacky. Running the right time, I'm made up my mind. I want to hear you sing it. Let's come on, Mayaro. Come on, sing it. Yeah, keep me up, people. I love you. Listen, we off the boats and say God is a tree. A blessed nation, the Caribbean envy. And of a sun like the place kept heavy. Things not go right, God go like ugly. So come on, my people, let's do this together. Put PNM to uplift each other. Say come on, the children deserve better. Brighter days, all you know it. I want to hear you sing it out. Come on, Lord and Lord. Sing it. Lord, I want to hear them sing it. Go. Loud again. I sure they might play part of the song. Tonight, Mr. Gypsy. Listen. Talk Shaki to Rowley, a leader phenomenal. The partnership full of pirates and criminal. Change for the duck, the state is critical. To perform and this country's political structure. These the doctor will be 24 years veteran. Born to lead on the 7th of September. Who are you voting for? Let's do this. Let's over here, you know it. Let me know it's over here. I'll go back to the front. Come on, sing it. Keep me over, you're ready. We rolling with the red for the love of your country. Listen, big man thing, it's love we require to see Gypsy. Great is the PNM. Tell them the 7th of September. Make it a day to remember. And put it on your calendar. Well, on back to the station. This one is a serious mission. Well, all hands on deck. This is a matter of life and death. Mayaro, are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Sing it. Say, let's do this. Love in the house.
Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready? We are ready, and we are doing this. September and make sure and put your X next to the Balize. Wherever you are, whoever is your PNM candidate, the Balize symbol has been in every single ballot paper, in every single election in Trinidad and Tobago. You are familiar with it. Put your X next to the Balize. My friends, you have been a truly wonderful crowd here in Rio Claro. And tonight, it is a meeting full of love, full of excitement. But we have 9 more days to go. You make sure all of those who came from Beach and from Charuma and from Kush and from Navet and from Libertville and from Ecclesville and from Mayaro and from Ottawa, wherever you came from Pointe-à-Pied and Caribbean Central, we say welcome from Moruga Tableland, but we want you to do what you have to do and organize yourselves to get as many people to go out and vote in your thousands for the People's National Movement. Ladies and gentlemen, on this note, I wish to say thank you. You have been an excellent crowd. I thank the leadership of the People's National Movement, and I wish all our candidates the very best. There is a famous Urdu.
She will learn, no one. She know now that she have to learn. Now Kamala finally learned, she will learn the truth. She will learn not to be ungrateful, she will learn ungrateful and don't pay.
Everybody else. Yeah, tomorrow.
Something like that.
One place, taking my space, the seconds we hold. We don't wanna drama. I want to hear your chanting.
Let me see your body face.
When we sing it.